In this episode, we'll take a look at the RODE VideoMic Pro Plus. The RODE VideoMic Pro Plus has a few new features that the previous version didn't have. The first one is the auto power on and off feature, which is really one of my favorite new features. The reason this is so cool is that when you turn your camera on, the RODE VideoMic Pro Plus also turns on. When you turn your camera off, it turns the microphone off. This is really helpful so that you don't accidentally leave the microphone on and run your battery out so that next time you use it, you have nothing left. Or if you are in a situation in the past where you turned your camera on and you forgot to turn your microphone on, you got no sound whatsoever. So it solves both of those problems. Really great new feature. Second of all, powering options. It now comes with a lithium-ion battery, which RODE says gets up to 100 hours of battery life per charge. I haven't had it long enough to actually test that, but I can tell you it is tracking that direction. I've probably got about 15 hours on it so far, and it seems to be holding strong, so that's really nice as well. If for some reason that runs out, you can also use standard AA batteries, which you can obtain almost anywhere, or you can also power it via its micro USB input. So if you have a battery bank, you can hook that up and get lots of powering time that way as well. So lots of options. It also has a detachable 3.5mm cable, which is nice. Not only in case you damage it, you can then replace it without having to replace the entire microphone, or you can also use adapter cables. So if you wanted to record, for example, to your smartphone, you could get an adapter cable, we'll put a link for that down below, that will allow you to use this with your smartphone. One of the kind of weak points I thought on the previous versions of the RODE VideoMic Pro were its battery door. The battery door has been completely redesigned. It's much easier to get open and to close, and it stays attached to the unit, so it's not as if you lose it, so really a nice improvement there as well. They've redesigned the foam windshield. It's now a sealed design, so that means that it seals to the back. And of course, also if you're working outdoors in the wind, you can also buy their cheekily named RODE Dead Cat wind cover. A couple of other nice features is that you have switches on the back for a variety of different things. You can turn on a high-pass filter, 2 different stages, and what that allows you to do is remove low-frequency rumble in the first stage. The second stage is probably for more extreme rumble or perhaps wind and things of that nature. So 2 different stages, or you can turn it off altogether. There's also a high frequency boost. If you do put the RODE Dead Cat on there, that will cut off some of the high frequency sound before it makes it to the microphone capsule. So you can turn on the high frequency boost to sort of make that up. And then finally, and probably most interesting, is the safety track recording feature. So because the RODE VideoMic Pro Plus records to your 3.5mm input on your camera, that's actually recording a left and right channel. And what happens when you turn on the safety track recording feature, it will actually record the level that you set it to into the left channel, and it will record 10 decibels quieter on the right channel, so you have essentially a safety track recorded. The reason this is useful is that if your sound source suddenly gets very loud, someone laughs, things of that nature, what can happen is the levels can actually start to get to the point where you clip and distort, and this will prevent that from happening by recording a lower level to a second track. Also, just like the previous versions of the RODE VideoMic Pro, we do have the Rycote lyre suspension system, which is really good for eliminating a lot of the sound that normally would get picked up when the camera shakes or moves a little bit. This keeps the camera movement separate from the microphone, so you don't pick up all that sort of rumbling and weird sound that you normally would get when you move your camera. Let's go ahead and compare the RODE VideoMic Pro with Rycote lyre system to the new version, the RODE VideoMic Pro Plus. It was easier to know it than to explain why I know it. If you were asked to prove that 2 and 2 made 4, you might find some difficulty, and yet you are quite sure of the fact. It was easier to know it than to explain why I know it. If you were asked to prove that 2 and 2 made 4, you might find some difficulty, and yet you are quite sure of the fact. Now, just for reference, this entire episode was recorded with the Panasonic GH5 and the RODE VideoMic Pro Plus. So this is what it sounds like. I had the input level set on the GH5 to minus 10 dB, so it's actually set pretty low overall in terms of input level, and the input level on the RODE VideoMic Pro Plus was set to 0 dB. You can also bump it up to plus 20 dB, so if you have an input that's really sort of weak, you can raise the level quite a lot and do all of the gaining with the microphone itself, which does a very nice job, versus with your camera. Overall, what that means is you'll get a cleaner overall recording. And just like with most other RODE products, there is a 10-year warranty with the RODE VideoMic Pro Plus, which is really, really great. So if anything goes wrong in that period of time, they can help you out. So hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave those down below. And if you've not already subscribed, make sure you do that. And we'll be sure to get you more great videos on how to improve your lighting and sound for video. Talk to you soon.